I'm Amalani, and in this video we're going to be talking about our Dojosan Amachii, which is a tea that we offer on shenblossom.com. In this video I wanted to cover some of the basic aspects of its adaptogenic qualities, its nutrient profile, but also talk a little bit about some of the teas that are also going by the same name, like Amacha, that are out there that are pretty much a different plant, and they don't have the 500-year lineage that this particular plant that we offer does. So this plant came together, cultivated by nature over 500 years ago, maybe even further, 500 that we know of. And it's a cross-genus species between the wild creeping cucumber gourd vine and a green tea bush, which both have well-respected history and medicinal use in traditional medicines and herbal medicines. So this is a tea that basically acts as a whole body adaptogen that tonifies the systems in the body, but also is very nutritive. It's loaded in particular with all 8 essential glyconutrients. So these glyconutrients basically feed the immune system, help for tissue repair. It's just really great for the organ systems and able to nutrify the body. Also, with all the nutrients, minerals, and antioxidants that are present in this tea, it makes just a perfect all-around daily adaptogenic tonic. So the 2 versions that we have are our young Amacha, which comes in a package like so. This Amacha is basically the young leaves, and it's picked at a higher elevation. So there's a couple sectional patches that we have access to. One of them is at a higher elevation, and those leaves are picked when they're very young. This is more kind of a broad spectrum whole body tonic. And in the lower fields, we get some of these older leaves. So these are from some of the older plants. It's closer to like coastal regions. This one tends to do really well in a fermentation. So this one's fermented for 3 years. We have this in limited quantities when they're available. And it's basically more or less extremely sweet, because the glyconutrients over the 3-year fermentation period are allowed to be brought to the surface. So literally you only use a couple leaves about this big. And you'll notice the difference too if you happen to pick up some of the younger leaves. Some people tend to confuse that, and we've had them confused in the past with Gynostemma pentaphyllum, which is basically like Giagulan. That's an adaptogenic creeping vine in the bitter melon family. Has a lot of great properties to it too. But to the untrained eye, some people think it looks like Gynostemma, but you notice as the leaves get bigger and more mature and you ferment them, it has a completely different structure. They're both really, again, nutritive. They have a lot of glyconutrients, a lot of trace minerals, and they're going to be really rich in antioxidants. So it has a lot of properties of green tea, but it also has a lot of healing qualities of the wild cucumber gourd vine, and those energies kind of harmonize together in this one particular tea. So we're going to show you how we prefer to steep it, and we're going to go into depth on how to use it on a daily basis. I use it a lot in the morning and in the evening. It helps to kind of decompress. And as far as compress is concerned, you can actually use it on your face for any kind of body care, facial cleansing, any scar tissue, any type of irritation that you have on the skin. You can actually make a compress with this tea and apply it topically. Now this is really great because again, the glyconutrients in the tea will help the body to heal without any kind of scar tissue, and help to nutrify as well as expedite the healing process, which is really great. So sometimes I'll take this and use a teaspoon in this is a 300 milliliter pot or so. I'll put about a teaspoon in here, and I might put a pinch of Schizandra in there, drink it alongside with the green tea, kind of do a blend of green teas, or just drink it by itself. Again, first thing in the morning, it's really great for people who are trying to repair their adrenals. Maybe they've done a lot of coffee and in a habit of drinking a lot of acidic beverages or coffees or things of that nature, and want to heal the hormonal systems and heal the adrenals and the glandulars. This is a perfect tea to come off that, because once you start integrating it on a consistent basis, it'll start helping you to achieve consistent and balanced levels of energy. That kind of calm, alert energy where you can just basically have it as needed and you don't feel like overstimulated. So we have a lot of people using it for those purposes. The aged Amacha tea is something I usually just add. I drink it by itself too, but I add that to other teas as a kind of a sweetening effect. Again, because the fermentation process and the aging, it'll basically help to make anything sweet without affecting blood sugar. So it's really good, and it doesn't have those strange, awkward notes, those like twinges that like a stevia has or something like that. So it's a lot more pleasant, a lot more enjoyable. And then also it's concentrating, again, the energy system to the kidneys. So it's really helping with the glandular health and hormonal health of the body. So Amacha tea, it's funny because until recent years, you couldn't find any Amacha tea coming out of Japan. And I'm not talking about matcha tea, where it's stone ground green tea, like ceremonial grade, but just Amacha with no tea. That is something that is often used for ceremonies. They use it for Buddha's birthday in Japan. And also, it's used for different purification ceremonies as well. So normally, what you find out there is more of a hydrangea plant. You can tell by the leaf structure and everything you see in the pictures. You could take a hydrangea leaf of certain varieties and ferment it for 3 or 4 days and get a very, very sweet tea. It's also known as sweet tea. You'll see some that has a kind of a similar structural layout of the leaf, and that will have certain characteristics, certain sweetness, but it's not having the connection, that 500-year lineage back to the merging of the wild cucumber gourd vine and the green tea bush. It's not the same plant. It doesn't have the same medicinal therapeutic value. So to not be confused, this is Dojosan Amachii. That's why we call it that, because we want people to understand that even though there's similarities and that Amacha name is kind of used loosely, this is the authentic Amacha. This is the authentic leaf that was used in medicine, purification ceremonies, and healing practices. Okay, so we're gonna dive in. We're gonna make you some tea, and we're gonna show you exactly how we use it. You can get a few steepings out of this tea. So you simply add a teaspoon of tea to about 200 to 300 milliliters. And what you do is you bring the water to right under boiling, and then you steep it in the water for about 2 to 3 minutes on the first steeping, pour it off, and then you can do that 2, 3, 4 times even. So a little bit of this goes a long way. And as long as you're tasting a nice flavorment coming off of there, and there's a nice coloration to the tea, you're getting a lot of good stuff out of it. Oftentimes I will use that as a base on a seaweed soup or any kind of like soup broth base. So you can do the same steeping. You would just steep it a little bit longer. So instead of, you might go 5 to 7 minutes on a boiled water, and then you pour that into a soup stock, and then use that and like dice some scallions or onions or ginger or whatever, and just make a nice hearty soup broth out of it. So it's a food medicine too. It's not just something, tea that you have to use only when you're drinking tea, but you can use it from a culinary perspective as well. So if you'd like to try authentic Amacha tea or Dojosan Amachii, go to shenblossom.com, check it out. We have a couple of varieties usually available. We'll almost always have the Amacha, the young full spectrum adaptogen tea available, and occasionally we will have the 3-year fermented. It's kind of a treat when you can get it, so pick that up. We also started offering these tight vac seals. These are really great and functional for storing tea. It's got a pressure seal on it, so basically it pushes the oxygen out. It allows it to kind of breathe in a sense, but it won't let any of the volatile oils and any of the compounds out, so it's very protective of herbs and teas. Works great with our detox tea blend or any of the Amacha teas that we offer. So check it out at shenblossom.com, and we'll see you soon.